Okay. Hi, everybody. Today I'm going to be introducing you to data structures. Now, there are many different data structures that exist. There's simple data structures and compound data structures. The reason why they are important is because we use them in our everyday lives without even knowing. For example, when you go to search on Google, um, the most important link always pops up first, and that's because it's like the most relevant one, the closest one to your search. So that uses a data structure. Google Maps or any GPS also uses data structures, which is um, like a map or a link, not a linked list, but it contains variations of linked lists. Also, for example, Instagram, it your feed is composed from like newest to oldest posts, and that also has to do with data structures. You know, you can see what I'm trying to say. We use data structures on the daily basis, and they're more involved in our lives than you think. So today, we're gonna learn the most simplest data structure that that exists is the array. Array. So what an array is so here we have like a list. It's just the definition is right here. Is an array is a group of items, all of the same type, which are accessed through a single identifier. So what that means basically, it's just a group of items stored in your memory that have that either are a number or a string, which could be a word, a letter, or decimals can be stored in there. Objects, which are a little bit more advanced, but you can store anything basically in these little boxes. I mean, that's how um, it's easier to imagine an array if you can, I guess, visually see it. So the way an array is structured is these are the indexes. So it starts with zero because in the computer science world, you start counting from zero. So everything is numbered zero, one, two, three, and etc. Um, so for example, here they're declaring an array. We're going to use C++ in this, so it's very similar. So here they are declaring an array. So int, what that means is integer, which is a number, 1, 2, 3, whatever. This is the variable name, and also you're creating. This is a little bit different way of creating an array, but it's a new array, and it's of size 10. That's what it's saying. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. However, there's 10 boxes, but they're not numbered that way. They start from zero, but there are 10 boxes. So here you have, these are filled with zeros. There's nothing in them yet. So that's what we're going to be doing today. And arrays can be used in many different scenarios. So for example, it can be used to let's say make a grocery list of some sort. You can take attendance, or stuff like that. You can do many things with them. So that's what we're gonna be learning today. We're just gonna make a simple grocery list and how to display that, how to save or how to change and stuff like that. Okay, so we're gonna open. You can do, like, if you don't have any of these things, you can do it on Mac or Windows, but you can go to cpp.shell, sh, and here you can just do your program here. If you don't have your own compiler, you can just use this. this website, or Replit is also a good one. But I mean, this one's super easy, right? Because it's just already there. So what I'm gonna be using is Xcode. So making a new project. Okay, so here I have my, I mean, it's already open, right? So the first thing we see is, these are comments. So in order to make a comment, you just do the /. It's not important. I mean, I know this one, it only has like a few comments here, but it's just a different program, but it doesn't affect the way it is. So I'm going to erase everything so I can start from scratch. So the language that we're going to be using is C++. So make sure, I mean, this is a C++ shell. That's why I chose this one. But if you're using either Visual Studio or Xcode or Code Blocks or something like that, similar, I mean, there's many different IDEs that you can use. But I'm going to be using Xcode. You just have to select C++. Make sure it's C++. So in order to start this, every C++ program has to include libraries. So the first library that you have to include is iOS Stream. And so what a library is a piece of program that somebody else wrote, so you don't have to do it again. So in this example, let's say include string. String is like I said, words, sentences, and stuff like that. So here I am including the string library. So in C++, there are characters, which is single letters. So HELLO, that would make the word hello. But since the C++ doesn't know how to compile that, like I mean, it doesn't know that it's a word, you know? So we use the string library in order to make it a word. So what we're going to use the string library for is to put in the grocery items. And after that, you're going to use using namespace std. So what that does is just so you won't have to be putting like extra code on there. So a lot of the times you're going to have to, like if you don't have this, you have to put like std ... you know, and then write the code, right? So I mean, it's pretty annoying, but I mean, that line like does the whole thing. So we're gonna do the main function, and the main function always has it always returns 0. So this is the main function. This is where everything's gonna happen, and we're only gonna use one function for this because making one more function, I think it's probably going to be a little bit too complicated. But yeah, so what this means is just it's going to return an integer. So an integer would be 0, 1, 2, 3, -1, etc., etc. So here it's just return 0, and what this does, it just ends the program. And this is just the name of the function, which is the main function. Okay, so in order to start the program, we are going to need variables. So we're going to create a variable, and it's going to be a string type. So it's going to contain text. Actually, I should just change this to text. And this is going to be the array. String groceries. So, I mean, you can choose whatever number you want, but in this example, I'm just going to choose 10 just to not make it complicated. So, again, this is the type. So, it's going to be a text type. This is the name. And in order to make it an array, you just do the little boxes, these little blocks, and you just put the amount, like how big it's going to be. So, in this case, it's going to be 10 little boxes, okay? So, after that, you are going to need something to keep track of where you're at. So you're gonna need an index. So what we're gonna use is count is equal to 0. So and why you need this is because in order to go through the array, you are gonna need a counter. Let me just a counter. So it's just to keep track where you're at without messing up the array or anything. So you are gonna need a counter, and also I think that's it for now. I'm not too sure, but as we keep going, I'm just gonna. And also comment your code. It's really good practice, because if somebody else needs, I mean, especially for bigger programs, commenting your code is really good practice, because if somebody else wants to see what you're doing or wants to understand your program or wants to work off of it, it really, really helps knowing, oh, okay, this is this or this is that. So now this is going to be the actual building the array. So we're going to ask for user input. So for that, we're going to put cout, which is a way of displaying text to the and in order to display text to the screen, you have to put it in double quotation marks. So I'm just going to put hello, well. And here, you don't have to do this, but I just do this to make it look nicer. Endline just literally what all it does is just display like an enter key. So let's say this displays on the screen. Instead, let's say I do two things like cout, hi, and it displays to the screen. So instead of appearing like this is with the, well, let's say the end line isn't there, then it's gonna be like this, literally like right next to it, and sometimes there's not even a space, you know. But with the end line, all it does is just puts it down here so it can look nicer. That's all it is. So after you put this, the next thing you want to display is please enter your items. And this is where it's, oops. So this is where we're going to start entering your items for the array. Okay, so our first function that we're going to do, okay, it looks a little bit different than my tutorial on paper. However, it's still the same thing. The only thing I added was just the text is a little bit different, and also the variables are a little bit different. Another variable that I forgot is to put string temp. I mean, right now it's gonna help, and it always helps to set your variables equal to like, for example, this is a string, so right now it's not equal to anything, and this one is equal to 0, because in C++ it's equal to null, which is nothing. It like literally that's all it is, nothing. So it's always good practice to set your empty variables equal to something that's equivalent to like 0 or a space or something like that. So the first function that we're gonna, so for a while loop, all you have to do is like you customize your own break, and for a for loop, it ends automatically because the for loop knows how many times it's gonna go. So the for loop, it's gonna go 10 times and 10 times only. The while loop, you can put, oh, keep going until like you decide to not go anymore. So it's gonna be, we're gonna use a while loop first, only because what if the person only has 3 items to enter? So I'm gonna put while counter is less than 10, and for and you literally use the and sign, but you have to put it twice. That's just the way it is. While counter is less than 10, and while temp is not equal to, I don't know, 0. Let's just, okay, yeah. Let's just say that. Like, if the person enters 0, that means they're done. So each function, you always have to put it inside of brackets. It just indicates the start and the end of the function. So this is the start, and this is the end of the function. So here, what we're gonna put is of course, the person entering their items. So we're gonna put cin, which is user input. So anything that you type in, this is cin. It's just to prompt the user to enter information through the keyboard. So here I'm gonna put the variable, and this just means you're whatever you type in, it's gonna go into whatever variable you choose. So here I'm gonna put temp, which is our temporary variable that we're gonna use to store all of our groceries. So cin temp, and then right after, we're gonna set temp, whatever is in temp, we're gonna put it in the first block of our groceries array. So the way it's gonna look like is groceries, counter is equal to temp. That's what it's gonna look like. So all this means is in the groceries array, in this index, so this is the way the array looks, right? So there's 0, 1, 2, 3, blah, blah, blah. So right here, counter right now, it's 0. So right now we're here. That's what you're telling it. So you're gonna put the first item right here. That's all it's doing. So after that, all you have to do is just increase the counter. So you have to move the little counter over here. So all we have to do for that is just do counter plus plus. That just means that you're incrementing it by 1. So that's it. That's literally all you have to do. It's only three simple lines of code, and you end it with 0. After that, in order to display your groceries, so let's say you want to display them. All you have to do, you're gonna use a for loop function that's only gonna run the amount of times, the amount of times of the counter. So let's say we only put 3, because we don't want to display milk, cookies, and 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. You know, like we don't want to. It's not necessary. We just want to display milk and cookies. Like if that's all they entered, that's all that's going to display. So right here, so to start the for loop, obviously you start with the word for, and in the parentheses, you're going to put the conditions. So in the parentheses, that's where you're going to put the conditions. So the conditions are going to be, we're not going to use the counter anymore because the counter is left on whatever groceries you like. You only put 3 groceries, so right now count is 3 or something like that. So we're gonna make a new variable called int. It's usually almost always an int for loops. Int I is equal to 0. So int index is equal to 0. So while I is less than counter, keep going, right? So this is gonna be the condition to break. So what that means is condition to get out of the loop, or else it's gonna be going forever. And then I increment I, so it can keep going. So that's what our for loop it's gonna look like. And again, it's gonna be put between brackets, and each of the conditions are separated by semicolons. It's just ending a statement after another statement. So and this for loop, in order to display, all you have to do is see out And then all you have to do is see out just like over here. And then that's where you're going to put your array. You're going to put groceries, and then here you're going to put I. So, because remember, counter is somewhere else. And you want to start from the beginning. So groceries and then end line. So it can look prettier. And I believe that's it. So now if we run our program, oh, where is it? Okay, so now if we run our program, this is what it's going to look like. So here it says, hello, welcome to the grocery list maker. Please enter your items. So I'm going to put milk. Oh, shoot. So I'm going to put milk, cookies, oranges, water, and then that's it. I don't want anything else. So here you just see it display right after. I mean, of course, there's many things that you can do. You can store it in a text file. I mean, but that's for another time. You can store it in a text file. You can sort the list. You can do many things with this list. This is just a piece of information so you can see that the array did save everything. The only thing that I did forget to add is how to not display the 0. So I think something that you can do is just counter -1. So what that does, it's just because the counter is right here, right? Well, the counter is 1 more than the 0. For like this. Where is it? So the counter is right here, right now. So if we do count, and then since it's less than, it's gonna since it's less than, it's gonna display all of this. And let's say right now here we have a 0. It's gonna display the 0. So what we have to do is just counter -1, and it displays everything else but the last item. So let's run that again. So milk, cookies, soap, water, 0. There we go. And it displays the item. You can make it look better by just putting end line statements just to separate it a little bit more. Oops. Oh my god, messing up. So let me see. So it just displays your grocery list. And that's it. That's how you make a grocery list just using an array. I mean, there's so many other things you can do. Let's say you can add more to it later on if you want to, or you can delete things. But that's a little bit more advanced, and I mean, this is just a simple program. So I hope you guys learned something and how simple data structures can be. However, they do get more and more complicated. This is just a simple input-output program. Thank you. Which is an array is a list of hold on, bro. I need to fucking Google it. What the fuck am I saying, dude? I don't even know. To the screen. Wait, who the fuck doesn't know what see out is? Okay, see out. See in? No. The fuck am I doing? Oh my god, dude, kill me. To display your groceries,